Said yes. Yeah.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me. We're here to talk about your course, which I got to take. I'm going to leave my response and review to the end, but let's get started. First, let's start with what's your journey with money? Let's just get right into it.
Mm. I feel like my journey felt pretty like normal. I didn't think that our money journey was different or unique. My husband and I had, a couple of car loans, couple of credit cards, couple of student loans. We also had a couple of mortgages. Like we had a pair of everything. But when it came down to it, we totaled it all up at one point, and we had $700,000 in debt, including mortgage debt. And that weight of that dollar amount felt strong, that felt heavy. Like I'd never added it up all like that before. Um, and I didn't feel like I had options. So at the time that all this was happening, my girls were little. My oldest was probably just around 3 years old, and my youngest was still crawling. And I did not feel like I had the option of staying home with them. I didn't necessarily desire that. I should, that's caveat, right? I didn't necessarily want to be home with them.
Wait. What are you saying about stay-at-home mom?
I love stay-at-home moms. They have the hardest job. But I felt like I didn't have, we needed my income. We needed my traditional income to pay all of our minimums. We needed both of us to be working. And so when I realized that I actually didn't have the option of not staying home if I had wanted to, that was painful. Like it was painful for me to feel like I didn't have an option. So it was at that point that we went on our debt-free journey and got out of all of our consumer debt. We also sold 2 of our properties, and we're just left with the mortgage that we sit in now, that we live in now. So paid off all of our consumer debt, paid off cars, student loans, credit cards, all the things, which is about $70,000 in consumer debt in addition to the mortgage debt. So getting out of debt and finally getting to the point where we had a comfortable emergency fund felt so freeing. It felt like I finally did have options. So that's a little backstory of our money.
What are some emotions around money?
um,
That's one.
well, yeah, yeah, it's one. I feel like a lot of people have emotions. It's scary, right? There's a lot of fear around it. There's some shame. There's guilt. There's obviously there's some positive emotions that come with that too, right? There's excitement or there's hopefulness. There's all of the like hormones and endorphins that get released when you're spending money. Like all of that happens
Does
too.
that really happen?
Oh yes. Yeah.
Oh
Like
my
that's a
gosh.
real like scientific thing. And even the idea of spending can also sometimes like release those, it's not pheromones. I think those are the love hormones, but it's the positive, like there's
I
the
think it's
positive.
endorphins.
Yes, I need to look it up.
I don't know. Me either, but the good hormones.
The good hormones are happening there too. But on the negative side, lots of fear, judgment, shame, guilt, anxiety, stress. Yeah, the yucky stuff.
How do families view money?
Hmm. Um, I would like to say that families view money as a tool, but I think that takes some growth to actually think of money as just a tool, take some of the emotion out of it. Um, I think that families often see their have a negative connotation with money, right? Like it's never enough, right? Or you're gonna have to do something really hard in order to get it. And those some of those family values, for lack of a better term, can get transitioned or transferred onto further generations. How your parents felt about money has something to do with how you feel about money now, right? We carry some of those things around. So how you deal with money is really important, especially if you have kids, right? Because we want our kids to have positive outlook around money.
What does it mean to not have enough money?
Hmm. Not enough is really subjective, right? Depending on who you are and what you need. When I think about not having enough, it very rarely translates to those of us in the United States, right? In the US, we are very privileged as a country. And in comparison, right, I should have better stats for you here, right? But we are among the most wealthy in the world, right here in the US. What do we need? We need shelter, right? We need food. Those are the two things, right, that we truly need, right? Enough. And I think that, a large percentage of us certainly have enough. We have more than enough. But when we start to kind of back that up into more of our, not just our kind of sort of humanness to survive, right, but to start to thrive, we need transportation, right, to get to and from work in order to make the money, right, and use that tool, right, to further develop yourself. So that's another sort of need that I'd start to put into that category. And then it's taking care of those around you. We need to be loved, right? We need to be cared for, and we need to care for others. So how do you do that, right? It's making sure that you've got, kids have clothes to wear to school, right? We're taking care of kind of those basic needs. And then we start to go from there, right, into hobbies and sports and other activities. But not enough is just really relative. Where do you live in the country? What type of housing do you have? All of those things, what might not feel like enough to me might feel like more than enough to somebody else. So it's super subjective in terms of what enough is.
A great way to put it. I think, yes, there are basic needs, and yes, some people don't have those met. And I think that is a different conversation. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of times people are super rigid around money, and they have these, I don't want to say like commandments, but they have this like rule book of like how money should work for everyone. And there's a lot of subjective, like, or subjectivity. I can say this. I think I said it right. I'm not sure. Basically, perspective is needed when you're thinking about money. And you also have to think about what someone's willing to do for a certain amount of money. So for someone like I stay home most of the time with my kids and I work from home, someone else may not be willing to do that. And that's a huge sacrifice. And maybe if we look at money in those two scenarios, one could feel like that is enough. One could feel like that's not enough. Right. So, and I think having that pliability or being pliable with how we see money is important, because it allows us to start to think, well, what do we want to do with money if it's a tool? And how do we want to build with money? So what are some common money problems?
Oh, more money, more problems.
Ah,
Maybe that could be true, right? More money, more problems. The feeling of not having enough, right? We just talked about kind of not enough based on your goals, right? So when I talk about money, I often talk about, again, very subjective. Well, how much do you need to get to where you want? And what you want, what I want might be different than what you want, different than what your neighbor wants, different than what your sister wants. So figuring out kind of what you want out of life, right? Or out of the next season of your life, like that might be an easier kind of like timeline to swallow. Will help you figure out like what you need to do next with your money. But that wasn't your question, was it? What was?
no, just like what are some common problems that people have with money? Like something that comes to mind is that they don't talk about it. They expect things that they don't want to plan for with it, or they if they're in a family, they don't talk about it in their family with their spouse, with their partner, whomever they do money with. Even if you have roommates, like I've
Yeah.
seen roommates not talk about money. It's like, I think the cable bill is paid. I don't know if it's paid. There's this expectation. I sometimes feel guilty if I have certain money to do things that maybe I didn't have
Mm,
before. And so I feel like this guilt or shame of having more than enough money. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
which sounds, when I say more than enough, don't think it's more than enough. Like, we still have 4 kids, but I just mean that I've always been very frugal with money. So when you have to plan for what you're going to do with this surplus, you start feeling like, I don't know, should I have this? I almost just want to hide it because it's like, oh, I shouldn't, or I don't deserve it. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotions that are tied to money, and unfortunately, right, tied to your worth, right?
Yes.
So oftentimes we are connecting our worth to what we have in our bank accounts, right, or how much salary we make, or right, what your next promotion is, right? Very tied to money, which it has absolutely nothing to do, with your money. So disconnecting that is a healthy habit or a healthy behavior. Um, yeah, we get in our own way. We've let money get in our way, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, and something I did think about is like I've seen people put people down or put people up because of money. I think
Mhm.
we should really focus on skills and results. And sometimes that does come, wait, oh, you were able to make a certain amount. But I think on a human to human level, because someone makes more money or less money, it doesn't, I don't think that that devalues their level of skill or,
Or character.
um,
I think character
yes,
is a huge component as well. Right. There can be lots of people that may make a lot of money that you want nothing to deal with personally, right?
or
Or even,
don't trust.
yeah, right. Absolutely. So, yeah, we've got a lot of work to do when it comes to money.
Oh, that's great. So my next question is, how should people view money? Like, how should money be viewed?
Hmm. Like a tool. Like that is how I would like to reframe the use of money. Money is just a thing that we use to barter, right? To get what we want. We exchange oftentimes our time, right? Or energy or skill or craft in order to get money. We use that money to do some things. We pay the power bill, right? We take our kids on vacation. We do some things with it. It's just a tool to get us to where we want to go or to use it the way that we want to use it. There's the ability to create more of it. There's the ability to save more of it or to use or consume less of it. It's just a habit, right? Or a skill that we need to practice and get used to using. You touched on this a minute ago, Mila. We didn't, so many times I find that people did not talk about money growing up. It was not appropriate, right? Or kid appropriate like conversation. And you really probably weren't even allowed to be in the same room, right? If something was dealt with, right? It was a parenting, thing to deal with. So you didn't learn how to deal with it. If you did pick up on something, it may not have been a great habit, right? You just said like, oh, I guess we use the credit card for that, right? Or whatever, right? That
Right.
so we have to relearn what does it look like to have a healthy relationship with money, and how do we use it as a tool to get you to where you want to go.
That's really good. So what are some fears that you feel like as a coach you help people work through?
Mm, gosh, there's a lot of what ifs that happen with folks if they don't get a handle on their money. I meet a lot of people in that state, like worried that they'll be evicted, right? Worried that they'll never be able to buy a home. Worried that they're going to be in debt forever. Worried that they're not going to be able to provide for their kids the way that they have envisioned. So a lot of fears around performance, maybe for lack of a better word, or yeah, that their own abilities won't match their dreams and their goals.
That's really good because that's kind of the core of my business is ending up where you want to be. Figuring out what you have now and what can you utilize to get where you're trying to go. But you know, if you stay on default, you may end up in a place that you really don't want to be. And I think that happens more often than we would like to acknowledge. And it's probably more normal. And it's nothing wrong if that's where you genuinely would like to be. But a lot of times we just let life stay on default. We don't take it by control. We don't figure out what we want. We don't figure out what we don't want. And our conversation before was like, hey, this is what I need to decide right now, financially and professionally. And that's just, I'm making a choice. Otherwise, life by default is going to put me somewhere I don't want to be. Um, and I'm choosing proactively. So let's go to your ultimate goal as a coach and then what your course is about. So, like, what's your goal as a coach if someone's coming to you and they're like, I want to help with my finances? That's what
Mhm.
you do, right? I'm just kidding. In
Yes.
business, right?
Yeah. Business and finance. I want to help people be intentional with what I think are most valuable resources: your time, your talent, and your money. I think when we are intentional with those three things, it magic happens, right? We are living life on our own. Um, we're living the life that we're called to lead when we have those things in check and intentionally kind of moving them forward or moving them to your goals. My goal for people, especially as it relates to their finances, is to I just think it's so brave when people come to me and they're like, oh, okay, so I tried it on my own. It's not working so well, and I need a little bit of help. I just think there's a lot of courage that comes in all of that. So first, like it's just there's huge props and respect for coming forward and saying that you need some help, right? And then it's to help people get up to speed, right, with some level of literacy around finance. Like, let's just get you where we want to go. We don't have to be super smart with money. Like, we don't have to have a degree. Like, it doesn't have to be stiff or stuffy. Like, let's just understand the basics so that they can serve us better, right? So that we can play the money game, so that we can use it as a tool instead of just like walking by the tool shed, right, where money is over there and we're just like not really sure how to use it. We want to be able to use it better. And then I want people to ultimately be independent with how they manage their money. So I walk people through setting dreams and goals around what they want, helping them figure out what they want, helping them work on the mindset and reframing. What I call it your head and your heart. We gotta prepare your head and your heart for change. And it's the heart work that is the hardest work. It's really kind of getting behind your money story, your background with money, where do you sit, like scarcity versus abundance mindset. All those things like play a role in how you manage your money. So working on those components. And then it's like the practicality, right? Or the plan, right? The budget. People, not everybody likes to use the word budget. You can use whatever word you want, right? Spending plan. But we need to make a plan for your money. That's a key component. And then it's working the plan. It's the execution of creating a plan that gets you to your goals. How do you not just start it, but you have to keep walking through it? How do we keep you on that path? Flexibility is a key component of that as well. When the plan doesn't work as originally intended, which it won't, like, just FYI, it's not always going to come out that way. So how do you stay on plan, like on track, even when life happens a little bit? So it's teaching how to like be flexible within that. And then lastly, it's celebrating, it's thriving. We are going to hit some milestone accomplishments. It's going to happen. Instead of like breezing on to the next goal, the next level, you have to stop, you have to pause, you have to turn around and look back and be like, oh, yeah, okay, I did that. Celebrating those small successes and really believing in yourself that you can do this. And then it's growing on that skill set. Okay, like next goal, next goal, next goal, next goal, until you look back and you see what you've accomplished, and you're able, and you cross off that first, that first level, like dream, okay, oh my gosh, I just did this. I just saved up my first emergency fund, or I just paid off my second debt, or I just whatever, right? Put a down payment down on a house, right? All these things are huge goals. And you got to celebrate them. It's so worth celebrating.
That's awesome. So does your course cover any of this, or is this just what you're doing as a coach?
Yeah, I built my course off of my one-on-one coaching. So the one-on-one coaching that I did really laid the groundwork for how I built my course. I wanted to be able to serve more people. I am a party of one over here, and I can only take so many one-on-one clients. So creating something that is able to serve more people at a lower price point, and take all of the fundamentals that I am teaching in one-on-one coaching into this electronic or digital format.
That's awesome. So if someone's a business owner, what would they get out of the course?
The same kind of fundamentals, right, that I'm talking about, this dreaming, prepping, planning, flexing, and thriving, apply to any goal, right? Whether you're a business owner or you're working for somebody else or you're a stay-at-home mom, like all these things are critical. The core components can be applied to a number of different things. What I find with business owners is that, you know, the business money flows into your personal money, right? They're all impacted one way or another. Once you get your personal finances sorted out, you can turn and get your business finances sorted out, or vice versa. You can take one before the other, but they definitely build on each other.
That's super helpful. Okay. So if someone is in debt, would the course benefit them?
Absolutely. I find that a majority of my one-on-one clients have come to me in debt, and that is part of their initial goal. It's not a dream to get out of debt. I mean, I really want you guys to have bigger dreams than that. But it is an initial goal, often, is to be able to get out of debt. And that is part of what that plan teaches, is how to go about doing that, right? That is part of the strategy if that's part of your current money story.
Would it help someone if they already know a lot about the finances, or like they're in a good place financially? Would the course still help them?
Yeah, I think it's certainly has value depending on where you're at in the season of life that you're in. My course has lifetime access, so I encourage people to, once you complete it, this sort of first round, put it away for a little while, and then when you have a baby, right, like take it back out again, or your kids hit high school, take it back out again, right? There's going to be different things that you're going to glean from it in different stages or different seasons of your life. There's a huge component of it that is around your mindset around money and reframing how you think about money. And I think that that serves you whether or not you have a healthy bank account or you got 12 cents in your bank account.
So what do you hope for people to get out of the course? Like what would you feel like is the ultimate goal for them?
Yeah. It's figuring clarity on your goals and having a plan to reach them. I don't promise within my course that you're going to pay off all of your student loans or you're going to be able to 10x your income. My
What?
I know, right? Like, oh, disappointment. But I'm going to give you all the tools to be able to do the things that make sense for your goals. Everybody has different goals, and I get tired of right. There's a lot of gurus out there that are like, yeah, this is the path for you. Like, how do you know the path for me? Like, I don't know what your path should be. Everybody has got something unique, and I think treating everybody uniquely in that, like, your goals are going to be different than my goals, and that's okay. We can still have a common structure or framework to help you get to your goals and accomplish them while being flexible to suit your real life. I want people to see their goals and dreams accomplished. Not my way, right? But a way, right, to get you to your goals.
So if someone is feeling guilty about money or shame around finances, would this course help them with that?
Yeah. We really tackle that mindset, that the guilt and the shame early on in the course, because it truly is fundamental to how you decide how to use money and how you build your plan moving forward. What led you to this today is there's some level of like guilt, probably. Gosh, I wish that I would have done something a little different
Yes.
with my money, right? There's some level of that I can think can serve you. Like, okay, so you felt guilty, but now you're willing to change. Great. There's no sense or no need to shame yourself or have or feel guilty any longer. Like today's a new day. Tomorrow we're gonna start fresh. You're making the decision to do something different. The guilt or shame is not going to serve you anymore.
Who is this course for and who is this course not for?
Who is a course for? I built it in mind with the individual or the couple, right? I've seen several couples that have gone through it as well, that want to improve their financial situation. So it's not necessarily for somebody in debt or not necessarily for a young newlywed couple. I built it just for people that had the intention of wanting to do better with their money. Most of them have some level of stress related to money, and I wanted to help unburden that from them.
And then who would you say it's not for? Like, is there anyone that you think, if you've dealt with this or this, or is there a stage that you feel like it's not for? You feel like it's kind of like
Yeah,
anyone's, I
it's a
mean,
good,
it's not for my 2-year-old. I know that,
not for
right?
your 2-year old. No, definitely not. I think that if you already have a well established financial plan, right? Or budget, and you are working it well and you are crossing your goals off left and right, then I don't think it's for you. It's for somebody that hasn't quite achieved that yet. They don't have a working or operating plan for their money, and they're not managing it well on a regular basis.
And I would actually add a little bit caveat to that is that before I did Sarah's course, I was that person, but life changed. And I think doing the course kind of made me sharpen my
Mhm.
vision or my discipline
Mhm.
for going forward because there was just a lot of life change. I added a kid and working on a property. And so, um, and then, life, just so much life change that I thought, let me kind of evaluate my goals through a fresh lens. Let me see if there's anything that I need to think about with the property that I haven't thought about. And so it really challenged me to kind of answer things that maybe I would have done, a little bit later, but it was great to get ahead of it and then to be in the situation where there was accountability for it. So it made me realize like, okay, I don't have a plan for this new thing. I don't have, And I knew I did it, but I didn't know how urgent it was. And it actually was great timing for me to start working on it way in advance. Um,
Yeah. Good.
because it's already changing. And if I was not prepared, I would have been like, oh my gosh, like this is not good. So I would say that I think if you have a life change and maybe you've done really well with your money, but life has changed, or maybe you're adding someone into your business with finances, maybe there's some kind of change where you want to make sure you're on the same page. I think it can be a great training tool.
Yeah.
To kind of say like, okay, let's make sure everyone's on the same page with this, and then you don't have to do it, right? Because I've been managing my money, I think, well, for the last like maybe 7, 8 years. So I don't feel like I need that, but it still was beneficial for me. Um,
Good. I'm
I
glad.
would
I'm
just say
glad to
that.
hear it.
Yeah. Like if I was single, probably not, but I would say like adding a partner or adding a business partner or adding a roommate, like just things that you feel like change that requires everyone to work together. I think it's great. So
Good.
yes. Okay. So um why did you make this course? You already answered that. And then um any last words before, because you already answered the other 3 questions I had. Look at that. Look at you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Any
Look at
last
me.
words, and then how do they purchase the course?
Hmm. I let's see, any last words? Uh, you know what? One thing that I like to call out is that the course is called Your Money, Your Goals, 90 Days of Finance Fundamentals. And I capitalized the letters FUN in fundamentals, right? Because it is intended to be some level of fun. I'm really passionate about the fact that it just doesn't have to be like so stiff or painful, like to work on your money. I do genuinely think it can be enjoyable. So there's just that, like the course is meant to be fun-ish. I mean, not totally fun, but like fun-ish for
It
sure.
was fun for me.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think like the way you did it for me, like it was a lot of head fundamentals ahead of time. So like dealing with my emotions around money, just even though I felt really in a good place, it still just helped me to realize like some challenges I would have in the future that I really need to think through so that I can be prepared and still be on course. Um, and so I would say that really made me realize that even though I've worked really hard with my money, I still have, I told you earlier, like I still have shame around the surplus, not shame
Yeah.
around being broke, but shame
Right.
around like, oh, well, I have extra money. What do I do that? Like, should I have that? Like, who am I? Why do I deserve that? Like, you feel this like shame around it. And, and that wouldn't have really noticed that at first, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and I think you have to choose like which situation do you really want to be in? Do you want to have a surplus or do you want to not have enough? And if you have a choice in it, you have the responsibility of managing it well. And so
Mhm.
that's kind
Either
of,
way.
yes.
Right. Either
So
way, you
that's,
have a responsibility to manage it well. Yeah.
so that kind of hit home. And then it made me realize just how many skills that I know that maybe my kids don't know. So if you ever want to come up with, I think it would be cool to do a workshop for families to talk about it. This is totally down the line or whenever, but just there were so many things I wanted to teach my kids from it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know the rules, and then I'm like, can I let them use the link? I don't know. So no, guys, you can't. You buy one for each person, but I thought about that.
I think it's family access. When you buy the course, family, your people that live under your household. Yeah, something. I don't know.
Or
Now,
just
now I feel
even,
like I need a disclaimer. No.
yeah, you're like, like, well, it's a family of 20. Like, no. Per family of 6, since I have a family of 6. But yeah, okay. And then how do they purchase the course? We'll put the link below, you think?
Yeah, we can put the link below. myjourneytoinfluence.com/YMYG, which stands for Your Money, Your Goals.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for being here, Sarah.
Thank you for all the questions.
Yay.